Do you believe that the key to unlocking attraction and igniting desire lies not in grand gestures or desperate pleas, but in a profound understanding of human psychology, coupled with the timeless wisdom of Stoicism? Prepare to have your perceptions of relationships irrevocably altered, because in this video, we delve into the intriguing realm where dark psychology intertwines with ancient philosophical principles, offering powerful, yet ethically complex, techniques to captivate the heart of the woman you desire. Forget the tired tropes of showering her with gifts or bombarding her with messages. Those are the weapons of desperation, not attraction. We'll explore the subtle art of guiding emotions, unveiling the hidden signals that govern attraction, and equipping you with tools to become genuinely irresistible. This isn't about manipulation or deceit, it's about cultivating self-worth, mastering emotional intelligence, and strategically presenting your best self in a way that resonates deeply with the female psyche. However, a word of caution: the knowledge you are about to acquire carries immense responsibility. The techniques we'll dissect are potent and can be addictive, both for the user and the target. Therefore, ethical considerations will be paramount throughout our exploration. We'll not only teach you how these principles work, but also when and why you should exercise restraint, ensuring that you use this knowledge to build healthy, mutually beneficial relationships, not to exploit or harm. So, buckle up, sharpen your minds, and prepare for a transformative journey into the art of attraction, where the power of psychology meets the wisdom of the ages, creating an irresistible force that can reshape your romantic destiny, but only if wielded with integrity and self-awareness. The allure of the unavailable, mastering the art of scarcity. The human heart, it seems, is eternally drawn to what it cannot readily possess. From the coveted exclusivity of a Hermes Birkin bag, for which women patiently languish on waiting lists, to the adrenaline-fueled frenzy surrounding limited-edition sneaker releases, our innate desire for the scarce and unattainable shapes our perceptions of value. The irony, however, lies in the paradoxical approach many men adopt when attempting to attract women. In a misguided effort to demonstrate affection and devotion, they become readily available at a moment's notice, answering every text message with lightning-fast reflexes, eagerly rearranging their schedules to accommodate her every whim, and essentially positioning themselves as readily accessible commodities. In doing so, they unwittingly diminish their own perceived value and inadvertently extinguish the very spark of desire they so desperately seek to ignite. The ancient Stoics, masters of self-control and emotional resilience, recognized this fundamental truth centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wisely observed that a man's true worth is not measured by the quantity of time he bestows upon others, but rather by the quality and significance of that time. This profound insight underscores the importance of cultivating a life of purpose and meaning, independent of romantic pursuits, as a foundation for genuine attraction. To effectively harness the principle of scarcity, one must first cultivate a life of genuine value, filled with meaningful pursuits, challenging goals, and engaging passions. This isn't about feigning busyness or concocting elaborate excuses, it's about authentically immersing oneself in activities that foster personal growth, intellectual stimulation, and a sense of fulfillment. When a woman sends you a text message, resist the urge to respond immediately with a generic inquiry like, "What are you up to?" Instead, wait until you have a dedicated moment to provide a thoughtful and engaging response. For instance, you might reply, "Sorry, just wrapped up a meeting with partners. I'm free to chat now." The key here lies not in the delay itself, but in the implicit demonstration of your valuable time and commitments. Furthermore, prioritize quality experiences over quantity. A meticulously planned date, brimming with thoughtful surprises and shared moments of genuine connection, will invariably hold greater weight and create a more lasting impression than a series of mundane, casual encounters. Consider the case of a client who, in his eagerness to win over a woman, had fallen into the habit of seeing her almost daily, engaging in fleeting coffee dates, hurried lunches, and casual hangouts. After advising him to reduce their frequency to once a week, while simultaneously elevating the quality and thoughtfulness of each encounter, the results were transformative. She found herself increasingly captivated by their time together, eagerly anticipating their next meeting and cherishing the memories they created. The most critical aspect of applying the scarcity principle lies in avoiding the appearance of deliberately creating distance. Dark psychology, at its core, is not about deception or pretense, it's about cultivating genuine self-worth and allowing your inherent value to naturally manifest as scarcity. This means investing in your personal growth, pursuing your passions, and prioritizing your well-being, not as a manipulative tactic, but as a genuine expression of self-respect. To illustrate the transformative power of this principle, consider the case study of a client who had been relentlessly pursuing a woman for 6 months, only to be met with indifference and rejection. After implementing the scarcity principle, he shifted his focus inward, dedicating himself to career advancement, personal interests, and only meeting her when he could offer his undivided attention and create truly memorable experiences. Within a mere 3 weeks, the tables had turned, and she was the one initiating contact, vying for his attention, and expressing a desire to deepen their connection. This is not to suggest that the goal is to become perpetually inaccessible or emotionally detached. Rather, the objective is to cultivate a sense of self-worth that makes you worth pursuing. When you seamlessly integrate the dark psychology principle of scarcity with the Stoic philosophy of self-respect, you create an aura of irresistible allure that naturally draws women towards you. This is merely the first principle in our arsenal, and its potential is already evident. But prepare to be further enlightened by the second technique, which, when combined with the principles we've already explored, becomes even more potent and transformative. The Stoic art of indifference, unveiling the power of emotional independence. Within the intricate dance of human attraction, one principle often defies conventional wisdom yet holds immense power: the art of calculated indifference. This isn't about cultivating a cold, uncaring persona, rather, it's about mastering a fundamental truth of human psychology, a truth that the Stoics recognized and championed centuries ago. As Epictetus, the renowned Stoic philosopher, astutely observed, he who is overly attached to his own life will be a slave to the emotions of others. This ancient wisdom resonates profoundly with modern psychological insights into attraction and desire. The more you demonstrate that your emotional well-being hinges on another person's actions, the less attractive you become. Conversely, the more you maintain emotional stability, regardless of external circumstances, the greater your perceived value and allure. Consider the case of Michael, a recent client who became completely consumed by the reactions of the woman he desired. Every delayed response, every perceived change in tone, sent his emotional world spiraling. If she took an hour to reply to his message, his anxiety soared; if she seemed less enthusiastic than usual, his entire day was ruined. Predictably, the more he cared, the less she reciprocated. This dynamic highlights the core principle at play: when you allow your emotional state to become entirely dependent on someone else, you inadvertently signal that you are of lower value. You essentially relinquish your personal power and hand it over to the object of your affection. However, when you cultivate emotional self-sufficiency, maintaining composure and inner peace regardless of external stimuli, you project an aura of tremendous personal power and independence. So, how do we effectively apply this principle in our pursuit of attraction? The first step involves embracing the Stoic practice of emotional self-sufficiency. When she takes hours to respond to your message, resist the urge to anxiously await her reply. Instead, immerse yourself in your own pursuits, whether it's a challenging work project, a creative hobby, or a fitness routine. When she seems distant or aloof, maintain your composed demeanor and refuse to allow her actions to dictate your emotional state. Remember, you are not feigning indifference, you are genuinely focusing on your own worth and purpose, anchoring your happiness in internal sources rather than external validation. A particularly powerful technique I often teach my clients is the mirror response strategy. This involves mirroring the level of emotional investment displayed by the other person, neither exceeding nor falling short of their expressed sentiment. If she sends a terse, one-word response, reciprocate with a similar brevity. If she writes a passionate, heartfelt paragraph, match her energy and enthusiasm. However, here's where the element of dark psychology adds an intriguing twist. Occasionally, deliberately disrupt this pattern by deviating from her expectations. When she anticipates you to be deeply invested, exhibit casual indifference; when she expects distance, offer unexpected warmth. This creates a captivating sense of uncertainty that keeps her engaged and constantly thinking about you. The case of James, another client, vividly illustrates the effectiveness of calculated indifference. James had a tendency to overanalyze every interaction with his crush, scrutinizing her every word and gesture for hidden meaning. After implementing this principle, he consciously detached himself from her actions, focusing instead on his own goals and interests. To his surprise, the less he seemed affected by her behavior, the more she began to seek his validation and attention. However, it's crucial to emphasize that this isn't about playing manipulative games or feigning disinterest. It's about genuinely cultivating a state of being where your happiness and self-worth are not contingent upon anyone else's actions. As Seneca wisely advised, the greatest power we have is the power of indifference to what lies outside our own mind. Consider the inherent attractiveness of two contrasting individuals, one whose entire emotional world revolves around your every move, and another who would welcome you into their life but is perfectly content and fulfilled without you. The latter, undoubtedly, exudes an irresistible allure. This principle becomes even more potent when combined with our next technique, which we'll explore shortly. But first, a word of caution: once you master the art of calculated indifference, you must exercise it with ethical responsibility. This power can be addictive, both for you and for those affected by it. It's essential to use it judiciously, ensuring that your actions are guided by genuine respect and empathy, rather than a desire to manipulate or control. Unveiling your value, the art of perceived worth. In the intricate tapestry of attraction, perception often trumps reality. The art of creating perceived value, a fascinating principle within the realm of dark psychology, is not about fabricating a false persona or engaging in deceptive practices. Rather, it's about strategically showcasing your genuine worth in a manner that captivates attention and ignites irresistible desire. The ancient Stoics possessed a deep understanding of this concept. Marcus Aurelius, in his timeless Meditations, wrote, "The value of a man lies not in what he shows to others, but in what he can accomplish." However, dark psychology introduces a crucial nuance: it's not merely about what you can accomplish, but how you present those accomplishments to the world. Consider the case of Alex, a highly successful lawyer who sought my guidance, frustrated by his inability to maintain women's interest despite his impressive achievements. His primary flaw was his eagerness to flaunt his success, rattling off his accomplishments like items on a resume. I introduced him to a powerful principle: mystery creates value. To master this principle, adopt a subtle approach. Instead of directly stating your achievements, allow others to discover them organically. Rather than explicitly mentioning your recent promotion, let her overhear you engaged in an important business call. Instead of boasting about your rigorous workout routine, let her observe your unwavering discipline through your actions and physique. The key element of dark psychology here is that people tend to value discoveries far more than pronouncements. When a woman feels she has independently uncovered something remarkable about you, it creates a far stronger emotional impact than if you had simply stated it outright. But the art of creating perceived value extends beyond mere subtlety. The Stoic practice of understating your accomplishments can actually amplify their impact. When you achieve something significant but speak of it with modesty and humility, it creates an intriguing disconnect that compels others to delve deeper and uncover the true extent of your capabilities. I once worked with a client who was a self-made millionaire. His initial approach involved ensuring that everyone was acutely aware of his financial status. I encouraged him to adopt the opposite strategy: to focus conversations on others, to express genuine interest in their stories, and to only reveal his accomplishments when directly asked. The results were astounding. People became fascinated by him, constantly seeking to unravel the mystery surrounding his success. A powerful technique I often employ is the value vacuum. Instead of relentlessly pushing information about yourself, create situations where others are drawn to inquire about you. When they have to actively work to learn about your value, they will inherently appreciate it more. However, it's crucial to remember that this principle is predicated on authenticity. As Seneca wisely stated, the false will falter, but the truth will endure. The art lies not in fabricating false value, but in strategically revealing your genuine worth in a way that piques curiosity and ignites desire. The most potent aspect of this principle is its capacity to create a snowball effect. When people perceive you as valuable, they will invariably treat you differently. This preferential treatment, in turn, is observed by others, further amplifying your perceived value and creating a self-reinforcing cycle of attraction. However, with such power comes great responsibility. This technique, when mastered, can create such a strong allure that you must exercise caution and ethical awareness in its application. Which is why what I'm about to share next is even more important. The Symphony of Connection, Crafting Psychological Dependency. Now, we venture into one of the most potent and ethically sensitive territories of dark psychology, the art of crafting psychological dependency. This isn't about engaging in toxic manipulation or seeking to exert control over another person's thoughts and feelings. Rather, it's about understanding and harnessing the deep-seated psychological patterns that forge lasting emotional bonds and create a sense of longing and attachment. A profound truth lies at the intersection of Stoic wisdom and modern psychology. Human bonds are not forged through a constant barrage of pleasure and gratification, but through a rhythmic interplay of presence and absence, certainty and uncertainty. Consider the mechanics of addictive mobile games. They don't consistently reward players with immediate gratification. Instead, they offer just enough to maintain engagement, while simultaneously withholding the ultimate prize, tantalizing players with the promise of something more. This same principle, albeit with far greater nuance and depth, applies to emotional attachment. Consider the case of David, a recent client who embodied the archetype of the perfect boyfriend. He was consistently available, endlessly loving, and relentlessly supportive. Yet, despite his best efforts, his girlfriend's interest seemed to wane over time. The reason? His unwavering devotion lacked the essential ingredient of emotional contrast. There was no psychological tension, no space for desire to bloom, and no opportunity for her to experience the longing that fuels emotional connection. So, how can we effectively master this principle? The first step involves creating what I call emotional peaks and valleys. When you are present with her, be fully present, engaging, and attentive, creating memorable moments that resonate deeply. But then, deliberately create strategic distance, not through manipulative games, but through a genuine focus on your own life, goals, and passions. As the Stoics wisely observed, the bow that is always stretched will soon break. The element of dark psychology lies in understanding that people become psychologically dependent not on those who are perpetually available, but on those who create unforgettable experiences and then leave space for longing to develop. One powerful technique I teach is called emotional time dilation. When you are with her, make time feel as though it is accelerating through engaging conversation, shared laughter, and stimulating activities. When you are apart, create the perception that time is stretching out, allowing her mind to wander and wonder about you. However, it's crucial to avoid falling into the trap of artificially fabricating this pattern. Remember Epictetus's timeless wisdom, no man is free who is not master of himself. Your absence should be filled with the genuine pursuit of excellence, not with empty game-playing or manipulative tactics. I once worked with a client who revolutionized his relationship by implementing this principle. Instead of bombarding his partner with constant text messages throughout the day, he reserved his communication for one deeply engaging conversation each evening. The anticipation of these conversations became a highlight of her day, fostering a sense of longing and anticipation that strengthened their bond. The most powerful aspect of this principle is its ability to create a positive feedback loop. When someone begins to feel a psychological pull towards you, they will invariably invest more emotionally in the relationship. This investment, in turn, strengthens their commitment and deepens their psychological dependency, creating a virtuous cycle of attraction and connection. However, with this power comes a significant ethical consideration. You are not merely playing with someone's emotions, you are engaging with their psychological well-being. It's imperative to use this knowledge to cultivate healthy, mutually beneficial bonds, rather than seeking to manipulate or inflict harm. Which is why what I'm about to share is even more important. The art of decoding, reading and leading psychological states. We now delve into what may be the most advanced and sophisticated principle of all, the art of reading and leading someone's psychological state. This is where dark psychology seamlessly converges with Stoic observation, creating a potent tool for understanding and subtly guiding the emotional landscape of others. A fundamental truth that eludes many men is that women's actions rarely align perfectly with their spoken words. This isn't necessarily indicative of deception or dishonesty, rather, it reflects the complex and multifaceted nature of human psychology. As the Stoics astutely observed, men are disturbed not by things, but by their perception of things. Consider the case of James, a client who was perpetually bewildered by his love interest's mixed signals. She would verbally express a need for space, yet become noticeably distant when he actually granted it to her. She would claim to desire a confident partner, yet simultaneously seem drawn to moments of vulnerability. The issue wasn't her inherent inconsistency, it was James's inability to decipher the deeper psychological currents beneath the surface. To master this principle, one must first develop what I term psychological sight. This involves consciously shifting your focus from the literal interpretation of words to the subtle, often unconscious, cues that betray a person's true emotional state. Instead of solely relying on what people say, pay close attention to the physiological indicators that reveal their underlying emotions: pupil dilation, microexpressions of interest or discomfort, subtle changes in voice tone, and shifts in body language. These unconscious signals rarely lie. One particularly effective technique is the echo method. When you detect a particular emotional state in someone, subtly mirror it back to them. If they are feeling excited and enthusiastic, match their energy and enthusiasm, albeit with a slight degree of restraint. If they are feeling contemplative and introspective, adjust your tone and demeanor accordingly. But here's the crucial element: once you've successfully mirrored their emotional state, begin to slowly and subtly guide them towards the emotional state you desire. The power of dark psychology lies in the understanding that people are most receptive to those they believe genuinely understand them. When you demonstrate an intuitive grasp of someone's emotional landscape, they will naturally begin to gravitate towards your emotional lead. I taught this technique to a client who was struggling to navigate the emotional volatility of a particular woman. Instead of reacting to her surface emotions, I showed him how to identify the underlying patterns driving her behavior. He learned that her apparent coldness was often a test of his emotional security, and that her outbursts of anger sometimes masked underlying feelings of vulnerability. However, this is where Stoic wisdom becomes paramount. As Seneca eloquently stated, the best response to anger is silence. Sometimes, reading psychology means recognizing when not to respond at all. The most powerful moves in this game are often the ones you don't make. However, it is absolutely critical to acknowledge that this skill comes with an immense degree of responsibility. When you possess the ability to accurately read someone's psychological state, you gain a significant degree of influence over their emotional world. It is imperative that you use this power to foster understanding, build genuine connections, and promote positive emotional well-being, rather than seeking to manipulate or exploit. The most advanced application of this principle is what I call psychological chess, the ability to not only read current emotional states, but to anticipate emotional reactions several moves ahead. This is where true mastery lies. But be warned, you must use it ethically and carefully. The weight of silence, mastering the art of strategic pauses. Prepare to explore perhaps the most underestimated yet profoundly impactful weapon in the arsenal of dark psychology, the power of strategic silence. This isn't simply about being quiet, it's about understanding the psychological tension that silence can create and wielding it with precision to achieve a desired effect. The Stoics possessed a deep appreciation for the value of silence. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, better to say nothing than to speak without purpose. Dark psychology, however, elevates this wisdom to a new level of sophistication. Consider the revealing case study of Michael, one of my most successful clients. Michael had a tendency to fill every moment of tension with a torrent of words. When a woman expressed doubt about him, he would launch into lengthy explanations, attempting to assuage her fears. When she would pull away, he would inundate her with messages and calls, desperately seeking to re-establish connection. I introduced him to a concept that fundamentally altered his approach: the most powerful response is often no response at all. This works at a remarkably deep psychological level. Humans are inherently meaning-making machines. When confronted with silence, our minds instinctively work overtime to fill the void with meaning, often projecting our own insecurities, desires, and interpretations onto the silent party. This creates what I term a psychological echo, where your silence compels others to confront their own thoughts and feelings about you, often leading them to seek you out for clarification or reassurance. To master this principle, it's essential to understand the three distinct types of strategic silence: response silence, withholding an expected immediate reaction; presence silence, remaining physically present but emotionally withdrawn; and distance silence, temporarily disappearing from their radar. The power lies in knowing precisely which type to employ and when to deploy it for maximum impact. I once witnessed a client dramatically transform a woman's interest by simply refraining from responding to a mildly dismissive comment she made. His silence spoke volumes, conveying a sense of self-assurance and indifference to her attempt to diminish him. Within a matter of hours, she was reaching out, attempting to gauge his reaction and repair the perceived damage. However, it's crucial to understand that strategic silence must stem from a position of strength, not weakness. As Epictetus wisely taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you choose silence, it should be a conscious decision, rooted in self-control and a clear understanding of its potential impact, not an impulsive emotional reaction fueled by insecurity or anger. One particularly potent technique is what I call the vacuum effect. When someone makes an emotional bid for your attention or reaction, deliberately create a void, refusing to engage or provide the expected response. This vacuum will often exert a powerful pull, drawing them into your orbit with far greater force than any words could achieve. However, it's crucial to emphasize that strategic silence must be wielded with precision, akin to a sharp blade. Used skillfully, it can be a powerful tool for enhancing attraction, commanding respect, and shaping perceptions. Used carelessly, it can inflict irreparable damage on relationships. I've witnessed this principle work miracles with my clients. One man was grappling with a woman who was constantly testing his boundaries, engaging in subtle power plays and emotional games. Instead of engaging in her manipulative tactics, he learned to respond with calculated silence, refusing to be drawn into her drama. As a result, she began treating him with a level of respect and deference that she extended to no one else. Remember, this isn't about cultivating a cold or unavailable persona. It's about understanding that your silence, when wielded strategically, can often speak louder than any words. As the adage goes, no one ever regretted not saying something. The paradox of control, freedom as the ultimate influence. We now arrive at the most sophisticated and counterintuitive principle of all, the art of control through perceived freedom. This is where dark psychology achieves its zenith, merging seamlessly with Stoic wisdom to create a truly potent and ethically nuanced framework for influencing human behavior. The greatest paradox in human psychology lies in this: individuals inherently crave freedom and autonomy, yet they are simultaneously drawn to those whom they perceive as possessing a degree of control, a subtle yet undeniable influence that shapes their choices and guides their actions. The key, however, lies in the perception of freedom. Individuals are far more likely to embrace a course of action if they believe they have freely chosen it, even if their choices have been subtly guided by an external force. To master this delicate balance, it's essential to understand the underlying psychology at play. I once worked with a client, whom we'll call Robert, who struggled to comprehend why women constantly pulled away from him despite his strong feelings and earnest intentions. His primary flaw was his tendency to exert excessive control over every aspect of the relationship, their time, their attention, their decisions. He sought to orchestrate every detail, stifling spontaneity and creating a sense of suffocation. I introduced him to a counterintuitive concept: true power lies not in exerting overt control, but in granting freedom while maintaining subtle influence. Consider this principle in action. Instead of dictating, "Let's meet Friday at 8, offer a choice: "I'm free Friday evening and next Tuesday." Which works better for you? You are still guiding the options, but she feels as though she is making the decision. This is what I term guided freedom. The Stoics possessed a profound understanding of this paradox. Seneca eloquently wrote, "The greatest power is the power to set others free." When you grant someone freedom, they are far more likely to remain closer than if you attempt to confine them. A particularly powerful technique I call the freedom bind. When you sense someone pulling away, resist the urge to tighten your grip. Instead, dramatically expand their freedom, stating, "I understand you need space. Take all the time you need to figure out what you want." This often triggers a boomerang effect, where the very act of granting freedom paradoxically strengthens their desire to stay. However, this must be genuine. You cannot feign detachment or offer freedom with strings attached. As Marcus Aurelius wisely taught, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. When you truly embrace the concept of granting freedom, you achieve a level of power that controlling behavior can never attain. I've witnessed this principle transform relationships time and again. One client was dealing with a woman who exhibited commitment-phobic tendencies. The more he tried to secure a commitment, the more she resisted. When he learned to genuinely be okay with her freedom, something remarkable happened: she began seeking commitment from him. Remember, this isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding the deeper currents of human psychology. People inherently value what they choose freely over what they are forced to accept. By mastering this principle, you cultivate a form of influence far more potent than overt control. The most advanced application is what I call choice architecture, structuring situations where others freely make the choices you prefer, not through coercion, but through a deep understanding of their natural inclinations and aligning your suggestions accordingly. This principle requires tremendous emotional maturity. You must be genuinely willing to let go. If you are merely pretending to offer freedom while harboring an internal need for control, people will sense your inauthenticity, and your efforts will backfire. This is where our journey through these principles comes full circle. When you seamlessly integrate all 7 principles, from scarcity to freedom, you cultivate a presence that is nearly irresistible, not because you are attempting to control or manipulate, but because you possess a deep understanding of human psychology and work in harmony with its fundamental patterns. And remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Use these principles to cultivate genuine connections and foster positive relationships, not to exploit or inflict harm. Because in the end, the most attractive quality is authenticity. As we reach the culmination of our exploration into the realm of dark psychology and Stoic wisdom, let me impart something profound. The principles we've unveiled are not merely about attracting women, they are about comprehending the deepest currents of human psychology and wielding them with wisdom and purpose to achieve a life of genuine meaning, fulfillment, and impactful relationships. Recall your initial state at the outset of this video. Perhaps you grappled with understanding why your efforts were falling short, why the women you desired seemed indifferent despite your best intentions. Now, you possess something far more valuable than a mere collection of techniques. You have understanding. You've unraveled the art of scarcity, the power of calculated indifference, the method of crafting perceived value, the mastery of psychological dependency, the skill of reading and leading psychology, the weight of strategic silence, and, finally, the sophisticated art of control through freedom. However, let me reiterate a crucial truth: with great power comes great responsibility. These principles are potent, sometimes almost too effective. I've witnessed men transform from being completely invisible to women to wielding an almost overwhelming degree of influence. This is precisely why the Stoic element is so vital. It serves as an anchor, grounding you in ethical considerations, and directing your focus toward genuine connection rather than mere manipulation. Let me share one final case study. James, my most successful client, didn't simply employ these principles to attract the woman he desired, he utilized them to cultivate a relationship of genuine depth and mutual respect. When I inquired about the secret of his success, he shared a profound insight: I stopped trying to make her want me and started becoming someone worth wanting. That encapsulates the essence of our discussion today. These dark psychology principles illuminate the mechanics of human attraction, while Stoic wisdom teaches you how to wield this knowledge ethically and effectively, ensuring that your actions align with your values and contribute to the well-being of all involved. Before we conclude, I must issue one final caution. What I've shared with you today is powerful. Use it wisely, use it ethically, and, above all, use it to cultivate genuine connections, not simply to inflate your ego or satisfy fleeting desires. For those of you eager to delve deeper into these principles and unlock even more advanced techniques, I'll be releasing an advanced series soon. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss it. The techniques I'll unveil in that series will make what we've explored today seem basic in comparison. Remember, true power isn't about control. It's about understanding. Understanding yourself, understanding others, and understanding the intricate dance of human psychology. Thank you for joining me on this transformative journey. I'll see you in the next video.